What's up, guys? Now, unfortunately, I it did not record my mic audio for this clip. Luckily, it's a less than 12-minute long recording. I'm trying to look at me retarding out right there. So I'm trying to get the left side to activate. I'm pretty sure, but not the right. I'm trying to get it to switch so it goes left and then right and then left from a single input. And I didn't I didn't realize. I thought it would be simplistically complex, which I guess it is, but I don't know. I just totally have the wrong idea here. I end up, I don't know, I think messing around for it. This is like an 11-minute clip, but I actually end up giving up pretty soon. Okay, so this is me later trying the same thing. I have no idea what I'm thinking here. Okay, it looks like I'm readjusting some stuff. I end up spending quite a bit of time on this, but if it looks like there's anything I learned, I honestly I was confused why me reactivating the lever wasn't affecting the block. I burnt out the torch or something, but I didn't. But that's what I thought. But then I realized, oh yeah, this torch up here is gonna be powering on the redstone line, regardless if I have the lever pulled or not, let alone set down, right? So. No, I guess I don't realize that yet. So I think right there, I think I found something, but I don't end up actually utilizing anything like that. Okay, so right here is me explaining some like software-esque like type concept for what I have for the hardware I'm trying to build. Because I understand, I guess, logically, but not enough to build it. But basically, it's me trying to come up with maybe a binary counter, and I guess maybe I should rewind to watch that clip again. I'm trying to go right to left, and I think right here I'm looking, that marks a bit. I mark that one, so then the signal restarts, and then it marks that one as 0, and it keeps going up. And since it marked that 0, 1, it restarts. Mark that 0, 1, so it restarts. But then it gets rid of the 1, goes up, gets rid of 1, goes up. And then it marks the next 0, 1, and then it restarts. Um, do I end up going through it one more time? Let's see. I think at this point I'm trying to have a signal come back. Like I was trying to have it go all the way through and then get sent back. So yeah, it comes through this way. So it sends that 0 to a 1, and then I'm thinking of the signal getting sent back this way. So it turns that 1 to a 0, and it keeps going up until it turns a 0 to a 1, then it restarts. So then it turns that very 0 into a 1, and then, yeah, I don't. It looks like I ended up skipping ahead there, but it's basically, really simple, just counting up in binary, just trying to come up with a program for it. I think I end up explaining it a bit better when I have audio.
Okay, so here it is. Sorry, I didn't want to hook up my Elgato, but 101, or is that, yeah, 101's 5. It takes a lot longer on 360. Plus 8, 8 plus 5, of course, is 13. And I learned this condensed setup where, okay, so I learned this, where if I want this redstone activated, it won't activate from a redstone torch. No matter what I do. But if I put down a lever, it will activate it, even if the lever's on top. And so I have that, so that the lever is pulled down, activates the blocks, which activates these redstones, which makes it so that these torches are inactive, makes these torches active, which makes these inactive, so it's not active, because this is basically a repeater. And then these blocks are based, these lights are based on if these blocks are active, and these blocks are inactive because these are inactive, because this is active, because the lever is down, which is activate. But I like up to be on, so 1000 is 8, and this is 4 bits, so the highest number is 15. The hardware.
Okay, so I gave up, and I had a friend who knew computer science try to help me, but I think he was trying to overthink it, or maybe I'm underthinking it. But so I forget the name of this gate. He used to be so disappointed. I asked him so many times. But you can see if I press this switch, it resets it. No matter how many times I press it. But if I go and press this one, press it, and the important thing is that the signal stays on, even though the button sends just a pulse, just for a second. But there's one problem. There's two buttons, two inputs. So essentially, what I want to figure out is maybe, I don't know what this was. I tried to hook it up to a clock. To be honest, I wasn't cognizing at this point. I was trying to build and then cognize, but we didn't get it to work. But I can understand how this works. So I guess if you guys want to learn, these are NAND gates. They're literally just AND with 2 bits so that it's turned off. Hey, I don't know what else to do in Minecraft. So this isn't actually connected. I have an input, right? There's a name for this whole thing. Okay, so basically you can see this is an OR gate. So if this gets a signal from here or here, I have to give it this signal. But for these to emit a signal, this is an AND, so they need to both be on. So basically, since it's an AND gate, these need to both be off. Like this one. So these are not receiving any signals. You can see right here is off, this button's not pressed, so therefore it is receiving a signal. The opposite of an AND. I guess, yeah, if I press this button, it wouldn't do anything because it makes it so that these are both receiving a signal, which is literally, you know, this only works if they're both not getting a signal. And so you can see this is not getting a signal from anything, but if I give it a signal, it'll go, hey, well, I'm not supposed to work. It turns off. And since it's off, this is no longer receiving a signal, so it turns on. Really easy. But essentially what I want is pretty much the same thing, but I want it with one button, so that if I press the button, it goes to that side. And then I press the exact same button, and then it would go to that side. Which would essentially mean that if I had it hooked up to a lever, and I pulled it, it would go to that side. But then if I turn it off, it'd do nothing. I have to turn it on again, it'd go to that side. And then off, nothing, then on again. Because I want it hooked up to a button. Because I want it to be counting. Because essentially maybe I could replace the button with a clock and have the clock set to digits. But, so, since we have 2 outputs, I don't know how it's working. Don't try and worry about how it works yet. We're going to learn that later. But for the counter that I described earlier, basically, we want it to get a signal, and we want them to all be in state 1. Now we want it so that if it's in state 1, it switches to state 2 and halts the carry. So it switches to state 2 and that's done. It doesn't do anything else. It halts the carry, so it doesn't carry up. And then if it's in state 2, which we just switched it from 1 to 2, what it does is it switches it to state 1 and then carries. And then since this is already in state 1, it'll switch it to state 2 and then halt. And then I press it again, and then it switched this from state 1 to 2 and then halt. I press it again, well, from 2 to 1 and then carry, 2 to 1 and to carry, and then state 1 to 2 and then halt. Now state 1 is 0 and state 2 is 1. So instead of saying state 1 and state 2, I'm going to just say 0. Do I even need to re-explain it? Does that make sense? Okay, quick rundown. Signal, well, I want it so that it goes right, and I press the same button, it goes left. I mean, instead of saying right, left, it's going to say 1 and 0. And all of them are going to be on state 0. And they're all going to be the exact same thing. When I say these, what I'm talking about, these bits, it's going to be this mechanism I'm talking about, just connected to itself, connected to itself, connected to itself. And so basically, they're going to be connected, I guess, okay, well, it's done. And then I press again, you know, like so, because every time it brings 1 to 0, it goes up. But if it brings 0 to 1 just once, it halts. So, it sounds really simple. It is really simple. basically what I need to learn how to build is essentially this, but I need to make it so that when I press it again, it does this. And then I press it again, and it does this. Then I press it again. Okay, so after observing, I think basically this right here is the NAND gate. And then these are just repeaters so that the signal doesn't backtrack and cross. It has to cross ahead of the repeater. So I could just replace these with repeaters. Okay, I somehow reversed it. Oh, I have the buttons on the outside. Okay, this one I have the buttons on the inside. I don't know if it makes a difference. Oh, it's because I don't know. It works. See, look. Okay, essentially I'm thinking what I want is like, I want a loop, right? Because it goes from state 1 to 2 back to 1. So I would need like a clock of some sorts, because this essentially does it, but I need it so that this button makes it, you know, switch between both of them. Okay, I have an idea. For whatever reason, I could visualize it better with the piston. I want a sticky piston. We do an analog up in this bitch. Okay, so essentially I have an on button, and it stays on, right? For anybody who happens to be watching this far in the series and doesn't understand redstone well enough, it's because redstone block activates redstone. So if the redstone's activated, it'll make the piston go forward. But normally, you know, a button, since it sends a pulse signal, it'll make the piston go forward and then back, like so. But when I press this button, it sends it forward, and even when the button's not sending a signal, the signal is still going. So it stays on. Okay, I think they're called OR NAND gates, but I don't. It literally works the exact same as unless, logically speaking. I know. I mean, it still is an OR NAND if that's what this is, right? I set it up the wrong way. I'm just gonna reverse it right quick. Okay, so I made it a bit different. I made it so that the redstone went over, so I could make another connection right here if I so desired. I don't think I need to though. This is still the reset. I just need to rewire it. I'm thinking, but I need this button to also reset it. So what I need to do is I need to make it so that this button displays one state, unless. So I need like one of those unless gates if like this is receiving a signal already. Which is why, like, the button's going to be giving it a signal, so that's why I thought maybe I might want right here to be wired, and then I could add delays as appropriate, but I'm still trying to think about this a little bit harder. Okay, so I think I need to add in some more delays, but basically this will be given a signal if this one is, unless if this one is given a signal. So this one just gets a signal straight from my button. So when I press the button, it gives this a signal and it will make this one light up. And then I have it unless if this is given a signal. Well, this is only given a signal if this and this is given a signal. So this is given a signal if this is activated. Because if this is activated, then this block is pushed. And if this block is pushed, then it'll be activating this signal. So when this signal is active and I press this button, it'll activate this, which makes it so that this is inactive. But I think I need more delays, because theoretically these will both be active every time. That's active. Yep, see about that. Okay! We'll have that be state 1, or off, and that be state 2, or on. So 0 and 1. So when it emits this signal, we'll have it so it does nothing, but it stays on. But then when I press it again, I'll make it so that this emits a signal into literally an exact replica of itself. Hopefully I could condense it. And I've already cognized it, I explained it. I don't want to think it through again, so I'm not... And now I'm just going to be kind of copy pasting this, not really worrying about how it works, I guess. Alright, I haven't come up with the reset yet. I basically have two of those things that I showed you guys earlier. So 1 should then equal 2. This is not a pulse. But if I have a detector, I think detectors send out pulses, yeah? Okay, so an observer wouldn't work well either, because it'll activate when the signal is on or off. We only want it to send a pulse when it receives the signal. Okay, I could have an observer hooked up to like one of my quote-unquote unless gates. And it would say emit pulse. Okay, so I want the observer to emit the pulse unless if this is powered off. So if this is powered off, that would mean that we want this to be on. Unless if this is also on. If that works correctly, this should give me a pulse every other pole. It worked. Hell yeah.
That's good.
So this equals my button. So I need to have the signal come in to this to equal lever. So this one will come out into which will then translate into my this. Okay, so we want it so that when this one receives a signal, it emits a signal. Unless if it's already okay, if the block gets updated, it receives a signal. Unless if there is already a signal being given. Okay, it appears as though I built this too large, which doesn't make much sense to me considering what is this really smaller? I guess that's pretty condensed. While if I come out here, I even turned off ray tracing, as you can see. I guess that's too far for everything to load in. I could demonstrate. So the lever, if I pull it, I guess, so when I pull a lever, essentially this is the carry, right? When this gets, when activated, you know, so when the 1 is on, this isn't on. But when the 1's off, this is. Since they're all off, they're all on. The torches that are sticking out perpendicularly. And I could show you with, I guess, the very last one. So this is the signal that bit 3 is going to be sending to 4. So 4 will be sending to 8. So if I get rid of it, you see it doesn't update, but I place a new one, it does, and that's 5, and it stays 5. When I break it, set it again, it'll turn off. It's the same concept right here, right? So this is now going to be equaling bit 4 instead of bit 8. So it's 4. So if I break it, it's not going to do anything, but if I set it back down, it's going to turn off 4 and turn on 5, or 8. And then if I break it, it's going to turn on, and set it down again, it's going to turn on 4 and 8. And then if I break it and set it down again, it's going to reset. So then you can see that 2 will be doing literally that exact same thing to 4. So this is the signal from 1 getting sent to 2, which carries 4. So if I set this down, you see everything works, right? There's 2. Then I do it again. It says get rid of 2. Place in 4. And then I'm going to have 2 and 4. And then, since the logic carries up, it should do the exact same thing where you're going to watch 2 turn off and 4 turn off. And then you saw earlier how if 4 turns off, 5 turns on. It's really easy. But I think it's too large. It loaded too hard out on the chunks or something. Yeah, you can see it just dies. It fails, it's too far out. But you can see right here, so this is activating 1. It gets rid of 1, then it should activate 2. And then 3. And it'll get rid of both of them and do 4, but it's like too far out. Let's see. But I want to see if it works. I'm going to see if I can load it in fast enough. There's 3. Let's do 4. Alright, it stayed. Five, 6, 7, 8. Not. Oh yeah, I don't even need to fly out. 9. 10. 11. Okay, now here's where I need to fly out. Okay, we have 12. 13. 14. 15. And it's going to reset. Cool, so you can see right there that it works properly. It's just too much of it gets loaded out of, I don't know, I guess redstone render distance, chunk distance or whatever. So it could only load in 2 bits worth of information at once. Which is easy, it's okay. I was just teaching myself the concept. So really all I need to do is like do the same thing, except I could stack them up and down, right? Or better yet, since I understand how this works, yeah, I could look up how to make a condensed version, because I'm pretty sure you could just have a line of observers. I think I've seen, and just you could have all 8 bits within like 16 blocks instead of having 4 bits within like 100 blocks. But yeah, I learned how to make a counter by 1. And it works for the infinite amount of bits. I just need to be able to have all the hardware loaded on screen at once. Bye guys.